Hello. The mission story of October 11, 2025, is coming from Brazil. The title of this story is Forgiveness and Hair, Miracles on the Amazon. These are the stories of 4 lives touched by a floating church, a boat named Hope of the Amazon, that sails on the Amazon River in Brazil.
My name is Pastor Cassi. I'll never forget the faces I've seen along the Amazon River, faces marked by pain, regret, and longing, yet transformed by the gentle touch of God's grace aboard our floating church, Hope of the Amazon. Each trip down the river brings a new story of redemption, but let me tell you about 4 people whose lives God changed forever. Jair, the weight of unforgivable sin. It was evening when Jair wandered toward our white boat. The Hope of the Amazon had just docked in his small riverside village. Curious, he followed the crowd inside. That night, I preached about forgiveness, a message straight from God's heart. As I spoke, I noticed Jair's eyes fill with tears. Later, he told me that he had once taken a man's life, a revenge killing after his brother had been murdered. Every church he'd visited had told him his sin was too great for God to forgive. But that night, he heard a different message, that no sin is beyond the reach of God's mercy. Jair came again the next night, and the next. By the end of our meetings, he surrendered his life to Jesus. When he stepped into the water for baptism, the heaviness lifted. Jair walked out of the river a free man, forgiven, redeemed, and filled with peace for the first time in his life. Maria, the reluctant wife. Maria wanted nothing to do with our meetings. Her husband came faithfully, but she refused. Then, as the meetings were ending, her husband decided to be baptized. Something stirred in her heart, and she came to the final meeting, perhaps just to watch. The next day, as I prepared for the baptisms, Maria stood up and said, "My husband can only be baptized if I am baptized with him." I paused and prayed. She hadn't attended the earlier meetings, but I felt God impressing me to baptize her too. Later, she joined our discipleship program and learned the beautiful truths she had missed. Today, Maria and her husband are among the most faithful members of their small Amazon village church. Jair, the lost daughter, returns. One evening after the service, a woman approached me quietly. Her name was Jair. "When I was a child," she said, "I used to go to church, but as a teenager I left. Tonight, I felt God calling me back." And with tears streaming down her face, she recommitted her life to Christ. Sometimes, all it takes is one reminder, one moment of divine love, to bring a wandering soul home again. Paulo, the man who hated church. Then there was Paulo, a fisherman in his 60s who had never gone to church. In fact, he had forbidden his wife from attending. Every time she tried, it ended in a fight. When our team arrived in his village, we didn't pressure him about religion. We just talked about his life, his fishing, his home, his daily struggles. We noticed he needed a haircut but lived too far up the hill to come down easily. So we sent a barber to him. That simple act changed everything. The day he got his haircut, Paulo came to the boat. He embraced me and said, "Who are you people? You even care about the number of hairs on my head." He attended every remaining meeting and was baptized with his entire family. Today, Paulo is one of the most joyful believers you'll ever meet. Every name, every story, Jair, Maria, Jair, and Paulo, reminds me that God meets people right where they are. Whether through forgiveness, love, restoration, or even a simple haircut, His grace flows through the Amazon like the river itself, wide, deep, and unstoppable. The hope of the Amazon continues to sail, carrying not just people, but the message that Jesus still changes lives. God bless you.